Hey there, everyone. This is Melissa, going on week six presentation. In this one, I have named it "Can They Do That?" And for this specific presentation, I will be focusing on the USDA, what the public opinion is on USDA, what their role is as the agency, and should they be increasing, decreasing scope, and a final conclusion based on the findings. So the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, is responsible for developing and executing federal laws related to farming, forestry, and food. Now, the public opinion doesn't seem to be too positive about the USDA. They seem to have farmers have a very bad perception of them. Usually they feel that the government is against them, that they have very monarchy type of governments like back in the medieval times where they take away their possessions, and sometimes they even go as far as accusing them as criminals. Some of the more moderate opinions, or at least less angry opinions, are that their efforts are to protect the consumers and not the farmers by making that food is kept at a low cost. Uh, I mean, sometimes even as far as saying that USDA lacks the knowledge and practice in agriculture. And one of the things is that I found kind of interesting is that their focus is on increasing imports and exports. So now, what is the role of the government? For this specific section, what I wanted to do was kind of go over their objectives and are their objectives warranted in the Constitution or any of the founding documents? And we'll start with number one, which is they help farmers with price support subsidies. Well, this is something that the founding documents um, indicated that they could possibly do. In the Constitution, this could be covered by the welfare clause. Can government step in if it sees that the general welfare of the public is at stake? Well, it most definitely can. However, in this specific case, is it really at stake? And the answer is no. The purpose of helping farmers is to strengthen agricultural business, um, and this is something that could potentially be left to the state and local governments to handle based on the agricultural needs of the industry. So yeah, this could be something that could be limited, that could the federal government could limit itself from doing. And those powers, and basically it comes down to the Bill of Rights, which states that those powers not delegated by the Constitution should be uh, sent over to the state or the people to decide how they're going to address this. The next one is inspection of food to ensure safety. Again, this could also fall under the general welfare clause. However, this one is different because there is a factor that could potentially threaten the livelihood of the public. It could cause death. Can the government step in this type of event? And according to the Article 1, Section 8, it most definitely can. And whenever the livelihood of the people are threatened, then the federal government can definitely step in to do something about it. So that's a check mark here. Now, going to the third one, expanding overseas market for U.S. agricultural products and support international economic development. Well, the Constitution states Congress will have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among its states and with the Indian tribes. So the Constitution gives the federal government the power to regulate commerce. Food and nutrition, this is an interesting one. This one could also fall under the general welfare, but is it really specifically spelled out? Well, it can go both ways. However, because it is not specifically spelled out, this could be left to the state or the people to decide how it wants to handle food availability to those in poverty. Organic certifying and approving certain genetically modified crops, I'm going to lump those together. Again, this one goes back to expanding overseas, or at least to regulate the commerce between foreign nations and among states and Indian tribes. The federal government, it is definitely spelled out that the government can do this in order to provide a level playing field to all agricultural businesses. Now, should we be increasing or decreasing the scope? So based on those two objectives, where we were like, well, yes, it can, but maybe not, it shouldn't. Um, I think for the most part, if we talk about limiting, for instance, helping the farmers, this is going to be an approach of where every man is for himself, and they don't have, if they don't have the money, well, you're out of luck. Uh, this could result in maybe less mom and pop businesses available that need that little push towards um, having their own businesses. Um, for food and nutrition, I mean, we hear a lot of this. This was a very controversial one. Some say that it can it would result in maybe less unemployment if it wasn't available because people would be pushed to go out there and become available for work so they can provide for their own subsistence. But if they didn't, what do we do? Do we just leave it? We just leave the public to figure it out on their own? Well, in conclusion, I think overall we can say that based on the founding documents like the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and federalism, USDA should not play a part in some of the goals of that the agency has. This would include providing subsidies to agricultural businesses and providing subsidies to the general population for food. These things, not that they should not be addressed, but they should be delegated to the states and to the people to decide how is it that they want to address these issues. Because at the end of the day, in the Constitution, it is not specifically addressed, and the federal government should leave it to the states. Thank you for watching my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Um, any feedback you have is greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a great day.